What up? What up? How's everybody doing today? On this beautiful day outside, right? Yeah, I'm just got a whole bunch of stuff done in the morning, and now I gotta make sure you guys are caught up. This is kind of, it's not that loud in my speaker. Hopefully it sounds good for you guys. Let me see. Does that sound better? I don't know. Make sure all these connections are good. I haven't done it in a minute or two. Hello, Faith. How are you today? Hopefully everybody's having fun. Well, you guys are inside with me, so maybe you're not having so much fun. I mean, there's a whole bunch of us, but I know I saw the well, you're in first hour now, Faith. So there's like Laura, Anthony, are all in second hour. So kind of split it out. I think there's like 31 people in my first hour now or something like that. So I know. Not the best. I didn't even look to see where I left off. Do you happen to remember where I left off? I don't remember. I think it was here. I don't remember. Yeah, we definitely did those in Zebulon. Yeah, I remember talking about this. Yeah, I think this is where we left off. I'm going to start here. All right. So this will just be for chapter 10. So this shouldn't be too long. What do we have left? We got like 12 slides to do or something like that. I'm going to get out and go for a nice drive in the old convertible in a minute, as soon as we get done with this. But yeah, you guys, depending on who's watching this, when you're watching this, right? If you're in second hour tomorrow, you'll be going to a different period. I noticed, I think a lot of you are either in my first or third or fifth hour. I don't think my seventh hour changed. But if you're seeing this, go to AP or Google Classroom, and I gave you the Google Classroom codes for whatever hour that you are in. So make sure that you go to that tomorrow, especially if you're not a virtual. If you're a virtual student. So yeah, I think that's about it. For announcements. Somebody emailed me or something about a grade. Your grades are going to go in. They're in. You'll be able to see them tomorrow morning, or actually tonight at midnight, I think. So, that's up to you guys. I think that's it. All right. So what happens with Aaron Burr? All right. Him and Hamilton just didn't like each other. All right. Aaron Burr was always playing second fiddle to Hamilton. Hamilton was always getting it right. I know I talked about this a little bit, was kind of like where we left off. But this is, he was just, Hamilton, everything he touched was like, he just did really well at it. He was just really, really good. Okay. So, oh, sorry. I don't know what that was. And you have Aaron Burr. A lot of people even wanted to secede and create a new country with him as their president. All right. And Hamilton opposed him. And they challenged each other to a duel. And now, if you're not familiar with what a duel is, right? You show up at a predetermined spot. In this case, it was just outside New York City, in this nice little field. And you show up and you have a second, which is somebody who's going to negotiate with you, for you. You show up and they have two guns. and you choose a gun, and you walk paces away from each other. I forgot to see how many was for them exactly in this duel. I'm not exactly sure. Usually it's like 10 paces, which is pretty good, a good ways, right? And they turn and they fire, and he kills him. I mean, it's not that, it sounds crazy because this was legal, right? It was legal to have a duel, all right? So that's how, and that's how he dies. That's how Hamilton dies, in a duel, because he opposed Aaron Burr's. I'm gonna turn off this fan because I'm sure it's noisy for you guys. In a duel because he opposed him being governor. So, yeah. So as we purchased Louisiana, all right, the Federalists are not going to be happy about this. They don't want all that new land, right? Because all that land means it's going to be farmers. Those farmers are going to be Democratic Republicans. They're not going to be Federalists. So that's what they're scared the most about with this new territory, all right? And so this guy shot Alexander Hamilton, killed him. They really want him out. And so he kind of escapes and gets away from everything and goes west. And he's looking for some land that he can kind of take over and lead. But he goes like as a separate country, not even as, something like it's a separate country. He wants to start a separate country. So he looks to England and Spain for support. Doesn't really get it. Instead, he gets turned in as a traitor. But he gets brought before the courts. He gets acquitted. This is because this really isn't treason because he wasn't fighting. Now, if he would have went and tried to start another country and raised an army and then went and fought against the United States and killed people, then you have a case for treason. Right now, this is just more of you went the wrong way, right? So John Marshall, Chief Justice, right? We've talked about him a little bit. And he wants to make sure that that's only people who make war against the United States or, sell secrets or something like that. Yeah, and so that's why I put at the bottom, limits government ability to use treason accusations against political opponents, right? So you don't want them to be able to say somebody's treasonous just because they're a political opponent. Yes, I know that he's tried to start his own country, and that's kind of crazy, but it's not the same thing. He didn't raise an army and try to attack a bunch of people, right? So what precedent does the Aaron Burr treason case make for future treasonous acts and cases? It makes it so they can't use it against a political opponent. That's really what it's saying, okay? I know I see some viewers, like, we went up to like 5 or 6 at one point, right? It was crazy. If you guys come in, say hi. Be like, hey, Mr. Green, what up? Put it in the comments, or maybe you guys are watching it on your cellular phone. As you're driving to the beach or driving to the friend's house. So Great Britain and France, they're still fighting. All right. This is not that important. It's just the fact that they are fighting. And we are trading with both sides, making money because we're neutral, right? Isolationism, right? Remember? But both countries are trying to stop trade with the other. So England's trying to stop us trading with France. France is trying to stop us trading with England. All right. And so England does this Orders in Council. You don't need to know the name of it, but you just need to know that it meant that they're going to stop and start attacking ships. Hold on. I wonder what this sounds like. Uh-oh.
What? That's weird.
Hello? Hello? Spaceman. All right. Oh, that's why it's doing that. All right, that was funny. I just wanted to see if they had new ones on. That came up. All right. So, look at this. So, France is ordering the seizure of all ships from British ports. So, they're both going to start seizing our ships. Well, this is not good for us. So, they started with the impressment again. All right. This is where they're making them work on their ships. They're seizing them. And you have 6,000 Americans. That's a lot of people, right? Especially at this time when there's not that many people in the United States, right? It's not, I mean, so 6,000 men, it's a lot of men that they just took. They're basically kidnapping them, right? That's what it is. They're kidnapping them. And this took place between 1808 and 1811. So this is all going to lead up to the War of 1812, right? So, yep. This one, This one, it got a little bit more heated. That's why I put it in there, and that's why it's kind of important. It really, some people died. And people really, they were looking at it like, are we going to have to fight these guys again? Because they won't let us like just be ourselves. They keep trying to push us. They take our men. They do these things, and Americans are like, why? Why do you guys keep doing this? So finally, I mean, this is boiling. It's too much, right? And so we really can't fight them both. So Jefferson, right? He doesn't want to spend a lot of money on military because he is for a smaller government, which means you have less money in the government. That makes it smaller, right? But we really couldn't fight them on a full-out battle. And so they have an Embargo Act. Now, this is where Jefferson kind of messed up, right? He's going to not allow American manufacturers and shippers to trade with Europe. At all. Anyone in Europe. And so what he's thinking is, this is like one of those things where it's like, maybe because that they need us this much, they will back down from what they're doing. Right? It's kind of like a boycott. Think of this one, the Embargo Act of 1807, as a boycott of Europe. So we're just trying to cost them a bunch of money, food, different things, and we think that it's going to force them into stopping this impressment and taking of our ships. Because he really didn't want to fight because we didn't have the manpower. But now, because that was our number one trading partner, we lose out more than they do. Because we have nobody to trade with. And nobody's buying our goods. So our economy goes down. And Britain and the rest of them, they get supplied from Latin America or Europe. You can see that. I put that. So Britain gets it in Latin America. France gets it from Europe. And they're all good. And Westerners now want to go to war with England. Because remember, Westerners are group, right? Democratic Republicans, and they are not so much like in the English, right? Federalists get a little bit of power here, just because it was so unpopular. Local manufacturing is not Jefferson, right? That's Hamilton. That's the Federalists. So they're losing some power and losing some influence. And it gets repealed a couple years later. And so that here they say, hey, don't trade with France and England, but you can trade with the rest of Europe. All right. So this is so much better than just saying all of Europe. They're saying just France and England. So the U.S. manufacturers and shippers, they're going to be able to do their thing, right? But they won't be able to trade with England or France, right? Mean break. I forgot about that one. That's funny. Making a make boy purchase tomorrow. That's funny. Oh, yeah. So, James Madison, all right? This is the guy who's known as the father of the Constitution, right? He's going to be our next president. So, he helped out with George Washington, he was Secretary of State. Remember, this is Marbury versus Madison. This is James Madison, the same guy. And he gets elected to president in 1808. So, that Intercourse Act, right? So where it just was France and England not being able to trade with America, that expired in 1810, right? Now they got Macon's Bill number 2. I know it's like, what happened to Macon's Bill number 1? I don't know. I don't know all of it, right? But this one, it said, hey, if they lifted trade restrictions first, then we'd be able to trade with them. But Madison was like, I don't know. Napoleon's like, okay, let's lift them. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's get off this thing. This is all about trade. This whole thing, okay? You need to just make sure I know this is a lot of back and forth, and it's like, oh my God, really? It's just like embargo acts and trades. I know, but that's just what it is, all right? And you have to make sure that you understand the reasonings for these, all right? So Napoleon's like, he's first. He's like, okay, I'll lift restrictions, because then he gets trade with America, and he'll be trading with America first, right? And Madison's like, no more trading with Britain. If we can trade with France, maybe it'll force Great Britain to kind of open up and get rid of those things. And so they have to redo the embargo. I know this is like, it's going back and forth too much. I understand that. But that's just the way it is. And this is what's going to lead into the War of 1812. All right. So you got Henry Clay. This is the first time you're going to hear about him. I know the SpongeBob in the back of the class is like, why is he always talking about Henry Clay? Henry Clay is all over the place because we're going to be talking about him for a long time. He runs for president a number of times. And that's what the meme in the back with the SpongeBob was that I wore 2 years ago. So these guys, Warhawks, all right? They're from the South and the West. Nation, America. These guys are the first Muricos, right? And they want to fight. Screw the diplomacy. Let's fight it out, right? They want to get as much land as they possibly could. They want to go all the way to the Pacific Ocean, all right? And if they have to fight to do it, so what, right? And They are not pro-Amerindians, right? They are, I'm going to use that term from now on. I like it. American Indian, right? They want to force all the Native Americans off their land. So they buy the land from, Britain or Spain, or something like that, and then force the Native Americans off their land. So the Native Americans are trying to kind of get together, like the Iroquois. It's not really working that well, though. Remember, a lot of people want these Native Americans to assimilate into white culture, meaning take on religion, customs, dress, language, religion, all of these things. So assimilate into the culture. But many Native Americans obviously don't want to do that because they're like, we're Native American, right? We're not white. And so I can never say his name. I'm not going to try. I guess I am going to try it. Tenskwatawa. That's pretty good. Tenskwatawa. Yeah. And like tries to work out something with the United States. We're like, nah, we're good, bro. I mean, we should have, but we didn't. So there's a couple different battles. All right. William Henry Harrison, future U.S. president. We like a lot of our presidents to be war heroes. This is going to be in a number of things. This is what he runs on later on. Tyler 2. I forgot what the name of it is. But anyways, you're going to have an all-out war because of this. They're going to burn his village down in Indiana, and it's just going to escalate into a full-on war. British are going to give these Native Americans a lot more weapons and support at this point. So we're like, oh, really? And then you're kind of mad. Again, these warhawks are looking at it like, hey, we need to do something here. We need to fight it out because they're warhawks. That's what their name is, right? And so they want to fight it out. Now, the War of 1812, I know this is only 2 slides for the War of 1812. Basically, it's fought over U.S. supplying those Native Americans with money and weapons, the impressment of sailors. The East doesn't want it because they know it'll hurt trade. Because remember, East is manufacturing ports, where the West that's farming, they're like, oh, that's fine. We hated them. And they didn't want those agrarian states, right? They want to be more manufacturing. So that you have to, the East at this point versus the West. So it's more supported in the South and West. They wanted Florida. Yeah, Florida. So June 1st, 1812. Declared war. Like I just said, this is almost like a second war of independence. I know, like that little thing I showed you guys from CBS Sunday Morning from a couple years ago. It is really a second war of our independence, right? We're fighting Great Britain again very soon after we fought them. This is just a couple decades. And the War of 1812 is not a very significant war. A lot of people don't even remember that we fought in this war. But remember, this is the war Great Britain conquered Washington, D.C. And usually when you conquer a capital of another country, the war is over, right? But they knew they couldn't hold it. So they had to retreat. But but they burned down the Washington, the White House, and I almost said the Washington Monument. I don't know why. And the Capitol, right? It didn't have the dome yet, right? Remember from the video. So they thought it was going to be pretty quick. And it really could. That's why I put avoidable war. It really could have been avoided. It's really, that's about it, right? And then it ends and it's a stalemate. Nobody wins, nobody loses. That's about it. Yeah. It's kind of hot in here. I don't know why. Spencer's over here sleeping. Yeah, and that's about it. Not a long one. Remember, for the rest of the week, we're going to do chapter 11. Make sure you look at the schedule. And that's about it. I don't know. I think that's all I got. Let's do the intro as the outro, right? How about that? That should be fun. We haven't watched that in a long time. So hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. We have... Maybe we'll know who's president tomorrow. Maybe we might not. I don't think we will. But I haven't even watched news or anything. I've been doing stuff all day. So we'll see what's going on with it. But for everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow. Second hour. RIP. Right? Rest in peace, second hour. No more second hour. So we'll see you the other days. Hold on. Oh.